Just making a quick video on the new EcoFlow River 2 Pro, and I gotta say right off the bat, I am disappointed with this unit. Basically, let's just talk about it. Basically, this thing gets the same solar specs as the Max, so the River 2 Max. There's nothing pro about the solar specs on this thing, right? And that's kind of my biggest complaint with this unit is what really is pro about this unit. I really don't know. I'm kind of scratching my head about that. I think this thing could have been, maybe it would have been better to call this thing the River 2 Max Plus. And actually, if you didn't know, this was actually a model that they made in the previous River series. It was this white model here that you see, and they actually they sold this unit kind of like on, I saw it on like QVC and home shopping networks and stuff like that. They didn't really sell it on Amazon for whatever reason, although you can kind of find these things. There are a few like, hanging around on Amazon or eBay. You can find them, and it's kind of cool. They got kind of a unique look with that white color, right? It almost looks like an Apple product or something, right? The white, and then we get the black accents and stuff like that as well, right? So yeah, just kind of a unique thing. So I think I think maybe it would have been better to kind of go. Oh, it would have been maybe better to go with the Max Plus name on this thing, right? Because basically, what do we get, right? You're probably saying it's a pro model. What do you get for that? So basically, we do get all the standard River 2 spec stuff where we get the fast the fast charge from the wall. 940 watts. I mean, that is pretty good stuff, right? But it is a bigger battery than the other units. So, of course, we do get some faster charging as well. And the inverter, they did, increase that as well. They're saying, again, they always advertise this X Boost 1600 watts, which I'm not a big fan of kind of advertising that as like the main thing. It's 800 watts, right? I mean, it's an 800 watt inverter. I would just say advertise that. Everybody knows about X Boost, so just, stick with that. So, we do get the 800 watt inverter. The River 2 Max, where is it at? This one has a 500 watt inverter, and then of course you can, X Boost that up as well. So basically, for the Pro model here, we get, a little bit more battery capacity, a little bit more, a little bit bigger inverter, right? So that's about it. That's about it. To me, there's nothing pro about that. It's just a little bit bigger, right? So I think, I think basically if we could have gone with that Max Plus name, I think that would have been a little bit more appropriate for this unit, right? And so we're still stuck with this same input, the 220 watts, and it is up to 50 volts. So, it's not too bad. You can run some stuff in series. But it's like this is the same spec that the River 2 Max has, right? I mean, this is not a pro upgrade by any means. So yeah, very disappointing. Now one of the reasons, actually the main reason for this, I believe, is that when EcoFlow announced this whole River 2 series lineup, basically they just came out and said, hey, we're making these things, we're trying to cut costs on these things. We're trying to bring the price down, and just, basically we're going to try to make these things as cheap as possible. And so that's kind of one of the reasons they're probably still, using the same MPPT charge controller. And then, obviously the big change that they made is just with the construction and the design of this unit as a whole, right? So we get, the handle in the back here is integrated into the plastic top, right? So this piece here. And so basically, that does a couple of things, right? They don't have to add that separate, handle on that the old River had, right? They don't got to add that on. That's just another part that costs money that they don't have to add on. And then just the kind of the durability and the how rugged this thing's going to be, right? This is just having like less parts in general, kind of a more simpler design is just going to make it hold up to wear and tear a little bit better. And in fact, if you haven't seen the kind of durability test that EcoFlow showed when they launched this new River 2 series thing, you might want to check it out because they did some pretty crazy tests with these things. Now, a lot of these are, kind of shown with the lighter weight, just the regular River 2. With the Max and the Pro here, these things weigh a bit more. You might not get the same results, but still, it kind of shows you the kind of thinking they were, the stuff they were kind of thinking about, right? And making these things a little bit more rugged and durable, that, right? Now, the last thing that they kind of did to kind of, cut costs and keep the cost down on these units actually is switching to LFP batteries. Believe it or not, like this is just kind of like so many people, they kind of have this wrong with LFP batteries, thinking these are like the newest, the newest, latest and greatest things. And actually NMC batteries are newer. The reason NMC batteries were developed is because they have a higher energy density, right? LFP was around, and companies, they wanted smaller batteries, right? They wanted lighter, smaller batteries for a whole wide range of products, right? So NMC batteries were actually developed. They cost more. The reason is too because they use a lot of those rare earth materials. And so, basically, LFP is just, it's a simpler, cheaper thing. And there's just a lot of like misconceptions about that online because, people think this is just the latest and greatest thing. Of course, it's going to cost more. That's not true. The reason you kind of see a lot of these power station companies advertising kind of this like, latest and greatest technology, battery technology, is because they want you to want to buy an LFP power station because they got higher profit margins on them, right? Because the batteries are cheaper. So just, kind of something to consider. Now, I still think LFP is the way to go. I'm not trying to say NMC is better, but just something to kind of think about when you see these companies kind of pushing LFP. It is in their interest, right? But yeah, at the end of the day, you can't blame EcoFlow. This is just good. This is just good business decisions, right? Trying to cut costs as long as you continue to make a good product, right? And I think this is a good product. It's just like I said, the solar specs. I think we should have seen like a 400 or 500 watt solar spec on this thing, right? That to me that would have made this the River 2 Pro, right? And now just to kind of recap, just talking about the design here real quick. Well, yeah, I'll talk about that here in a second. Just looking at the overall aesthetics, I think that the Pro here is probably the least attractive of the three units. It's just a little bulky, right? I mean, all of three of these share kind of the same design, right? But it's like, basically, they keep getting bigger and bigger, and this really kind of shows you the importance of proportion with design, right? Because since they basically are all the same design, you can see this is just it just looks like a better design on here just simply because of the better proportions. And then even with the Max, I think as far as having a little bit of a bigger design, I think it still works. The proportions, the height, the width, everything, it kind of just goes together a little bit better with with the Pro here. To me it is a little bit bulky, so that's just a little bit disappointing. But overall, with this new kind of design language, I really like that they've kind of done something a little bit different here with that kind of that curve going up towards the back, and it does make it nice. It does make it nice when you want to carry this thing. It's basically like a little kettlebell, right? And so from a functionality standpoint, it is good. Now, the one little detail that, which is kind of weird that they don't show on this is actually like a rendering, is they actually have these nice little vents that kind of separate the front panel or the screen section from the rest of the unit. But for whatever reason, they don't have it on this rendering here. But actually, if you zoom in, yeah, let's zoom in here. Oh, zoom in here, you can actually see it a little bit better. There are actually like little vents right along here, and then it's on both sides, obviously. And this is just something I really love to see EcoFlow doing, because cooling has kind of been one of their biggest weak points. Especially with the Delta series. Basically they have these where they have the cooling, the cooling ducts and the fans and stuff like that at the top of the unit. And that's great because you got, the heat sinks and stuff like that are all sitting up there, and obviously you want to pull heat away from those. But guess what? The batteries sit at the bottom of the unit, and and so basically you're not getting any airflow down there, right? And so basically by having these little vents here, you can, when the air is kind of blowing through these ducts here, it will kind of draw in like a little bit of draft through those vents, right? And this is good just to kind of get some more airflow flowing through the whole unit, right? And especially too, like even just having it by the 12-volt plugs, and just these plugs and outlets can heat up a little bit too, just from the current going through them as well, right? So, like on the Delta series, you're just, kind of SOL. Like there's nothing down there to kind of bring any kind of airflow, right? It's just all the airflows up at the top. So I'm really glad to see that they did a little trick design like that, and I hope they really kind of add something like that to the Delta series as well, right? So yeah, it's just a quick recap of this River 2 Pro, and just kind of why I'm a little bit disappointed with this thing, and actually it's kind of funny. The original River Pro was actually a big disappointment as well. If you didn't know, that was the model that was supposed to be LFP batteries. That was supposed to be like the first River that had LFP batteries. So that was going to be the thing that kind of made the pro version of the first River. And then they didn't end up doing that. So basically, the first River Pro was a disappointment, and now the second River Pro is also a disappointment because of the solar this time. But still at the end of the day, you get LFP batteries, you get a pretty decent size inverter, you get okay solar specs in a pretty small portable package, right? I think just for me, I think because of all the things that we've kind of talked about, the solar specs, the even just the way it looks, the design for me, I'm all about design. I think if I was gonna pick one of these, I would probably pick the Max. But yeah, either way, whatever you want to do, all of these River Twos are just super solid built, right? So yeah, hopefully you just kind of found this video and this overview helpful or interesting. And yeah, thanks for watching.